Proof that healthy food can taste unbelievably good. The Mediterranean diet is the world's healthiest diet, and Factor makes it easy to eat that way every day. A true Mediterranean meal should be full of colorful fruits and veggies. At Factor, it's all about abundance. Whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, and with the new Mediterranean-inspired options every week, you'll never get bored. Just eat, and enjoy in 2 minutes. Want Mediterranean meals made easy? Sign up to get 50% off your first box.
Virgil was built in 1923. Today, it's one of the most exclusive buildings in Manhattan.
Hi, I'm the new maid.
With such wealth comes the expectation of the highest quality of service.
This building is a temple to Satan. Each month he must pay with a human sacrifice. You are the art. Gotcha. The building was designed to be a death trap.
Our offering is on the loose. Be on the lookout. I just dropped her picture in the group chat.
What is going on in here? But great. I'm forgiving. How are you doing? Prison.
Come on. That's one percent, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving your perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. We do not. There is what we do not do. We do not teach how to rise to the occasion. And folks, what we teach is how to fall to your level of preparation. Hence the reason you see me doing these daily right after run, so you understand I'm not just talking it. It's about that action. About that action, boss. The great Beast Mode once said, Marshawn Lynch said, I'm about that action, boss. I'm about to just go get it. do a set of talking. All right, you got to be, well, if you're going to be in the business of talking like I'm in the business of talking, you got to match your action with your talking. So you can't just be talking shit. You got to put your action, put your money where your mouth is, all those kinds of sayings. Action. Got to be about that action, boss. The great Marshawn Lynch once said, it was a classic interview back. Go look it up, actually. It was a classic interview back when he was the same football player that was on some, I'm only here so I don't get fined at Super Bowl. When he was with the Seahawks, and this was back when Coach Prime was working for NFL Network. And he goes, "You kind of shy, man. You kind of shy." He goes, "No, I'm just about that. I'm just about that action, boss. I'm about that action, boss. I'm about that action. Talking in his hood don't get him nowhere. I'm just about that action. Just about that go get it." All right. So as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, Top 5 Tuesday, first Top 5 Tuesday of 2026. We're picking up right where we left off yesterday in regards to what are the best investment options? What are the things that you need to be thinking about as you are putting your money away, as you are thinking about how exactly am I going to get to the places that I want to be from 2026 and beyond? How am I going to actually get there? What's the roadmap? And as promised, I'm going to give you a specific 5-step process in terms of how you diagnose these things, what should be the way you sort of channel opportunities, the filtering process that you take towards opportunities. This is how it should happen. And it has to happen quickly because investment opportunities, they don't come around every single day. And you got to be able to decipher it based on your mode of thinking, based on the way you think, based on how you think, based on the things that you put in your mind and the guardrails, so to speak, that you put in your mind for whatever investment opportunity comes at you or whatever you approach with. Right. So first and foremost, first thing you got to think about is what are the long-term ramifications? What are the long-term things that are going to happen if I put my money here? All right. And that it can turn in again. There's going to be long-term effects wherever and however you spend your money. Like I remember actually, this was back when I remember a sort of an argument. It wasn't a catastrophic argument, but it was a discussion, a heated discussion, a disagreement. We'll say it like this: a disagreement that I had with my ex one time when she was talking about putting something in her body that was going to make her like lose the weight, some type of a drug that some doctor brought up. And I asked, I said, okay, what are the long-term effects? What can happen? What this, what that, all these questions. And thankfully, again, she was open-minded enough to talk her. I was able to talk her out of making some stupid ass decision to put some drug in her body that made absolutely no sense to do. So again, the long-term, again, I bring that up because the long-term effects and the long-term things that are going to happen, you have to be thinking about. So number one. Number two, how are your loved ones protected? All right, how are your loved ones protected? It's interesting that I went to my ex on that conversation or on that idea. I didn't plan on bringing that up, but it's just when you think about loved ones, if you're going to go out and make an investment and spend your money on certain things, you got to understand your loved ones are going to be the ones that are affected by it. So you have to think, how are your loved ones protected? Again, number one, long-term effects. Number two, how are your loved ones protected? And this one is number three, is something that I had to learn the hard way. I actually have to still learn the hard way because I'm so all in entrepreneur. I'm so all in, like motivated and, just driven kind of a person. I have to ask myself, and this is number three, is how am I protected? So how are you as the individual protected? All right. So just so we recap, just so we're clear, top five things to think about when you're thinking about investment opportunities. And the best investment is number one, it's long-term. What's the long-term effects? Number two and three are how are your loved ones protected and how are you protected? All right. That was very, very important because as you get into it and you start hearing certain opportunities, you can get yourself really excited and then you forget to actually protect yourself in certain situations. So number one, two, and three, those are the three. Now, 4 and 5 are very, very important because a lot of the things with 4 and 5, it's going to be based on how you are developed, or some of the things are going to be uncontrollable because you just actually won't know. All right. So number 4 is it ethical and is it moral? All right. Is it ethical and is it moral? Is it something that you would actually think is the right thing to do? And I remember actually about a year and a half ago, I had a pastor on my show, and he said it very plainly. He goes, you always know what's right and wrong. All right. It's going to be something in you that is going to say, hey, it's not right to sell this drug. I know I'm getting money, but look at what it's doing to my community. Look at what it's doing to my people. Look at what it's doing to the things around me, the thing I'm selling. So is it moral or is it ethical? That is very important. And you have it in your heart to know what it is. And then finally, number 5, are you developing in a desirable way? All right. I'm bringing up the selling of the drugs because, again, as you develop in that business, it's going to land you either dead or in jail. That's what's going to happen. So you got to ask yourself the question, whatever I'm putting out there, whatever I'm making my investments in, am I being developed in the desirable way? You got to define what's desirable. What exactly do you want? What exactly is your end result? What exactly do you want it to look like when it's actually all said and done? Are you developing a desirable way? Do you want to end when it's all said and done? Do you want to end up in debt or in jail? Or do you want to end up having, millions in your bank account that you can give off to your family, have a beautiful 2 or 3 different houses in all sorts of states, and be able to have vacation homes and have a family that's absolutely thriving and can, survive and have you guys set up and, able to live their dreams and things like that? That's the question. Are you developing in a desirable way? All right. So again, I'll do a deeper dive on all this on the live stream today. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, share this out to anybody, especially you business owners that are struggling with turnover, struggling with employee retention. So recap, Top 5 Tuesday, top 5 ways to think about the best investment opportunities. Number 1, long-term effects. Number 2, how are your loved ones protected? Number 3, how are you protected? Number 4, is it moral? Is it ethical? And number 5, are you developing in a desirable way? All right. So Again, main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm all about. It's makeitmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for teamwork and your self-development needs. You should be booked a call with me at as1c.com. Everyone out there, you guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day you are consuming this. Welcome. As one Crookshank here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, current 6-time published author and educator. And for those of you who are new around here, what I created is a whole brand, a whole concept, a whole movement, a whole framework that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and business owners so they have a staff and or a group of employees that moves just as efficiently, just as cohesively, has that same passion, that same vigor, that same hunger to them as a championship high school or youth football team. That is what we do around here. Main website to check out for all of that information. If you'd like to get more on that, it is makeitmove.com. It's MakeYamove.com. All of the things about me are right here on that website. Everything, speak about my keynotes, everything is here. Just newly redone, by the way. As you can see, newly redone, a little more condensed. And of course, you can go pick up a copy of my latest book. Get yourself on a copy of How to Be a Wintrepreneur. It's only $20 for now. And if you'd like to go a step further, simply, let me just make sure I'm doing this. Yes, as1c.com. Simply go to as1c.com, strategic financial teamwork, and you can book a quick meeting with me. We can catch up and we can do a lot of different things in terms of what you're able to do. There's so many, and we're going to be touching on this today on today's topic. There's so many different things, so many different investment opportunities out there that it's almost like you got to get burned to learn, right? Again, I'm someone that's been burned in a lot of different situations, been burnt 3 or 4 times, right? In a lot of different situations. In fact, I turned 37 in 2 days, and I've been burnt probably more than people who are in their 60s and 70s. Trust me, I've done a lot of things that were not on the right path, and it's because it was coming from a good place, but I was not thinking the way I'm thinking now. A lot of things weren't presented to me the way they were presented now. So I am obligated to pass on this knowledge, pass on this information, pass off this drive, pass off everything I'm about. I'm obligated to pass it on to you all. So that is what we're going to be discussing today, and what we're all about in 2026. The theme, this year's theme, we're all about what are we actually going to fix? What's for us to fix in 2026? That's what this year's theme is all about. So again, make sure you book a call with me so we can get all of that information and get you on the right path as we keep going. All right. So all that being said, Top 5 Tuesday, we are approaching. Let me just tell you, when it comes to consistency, you're not going to find someone who is more consistent on the internet than your one and only over here. When it comes to consistency, Top 5 Tuesday, just so we're clear, and it's just hitting me, and I'm now realizing it as I'm saying it. And the reason it's hitting me because I'm watching the television. I'm recognizing that Caitlin Clark, I think, is approaching her third season in the WNBA. Top 5 Tuesday started when Caitlin Clark was a senior in high school at Iowa. It was so much press. It was so much things going on about Caitlin Clark that I decided to do a top 5 list of the top 5 college hometown heroes. I'll never forget the first one. Caitlin Clark made the list. Skylar Diggins made the list. Sean Merriman made the list. Reggie Bush, and obviously Tim Tebow. Those were my top 5 college hometown heroes. And ever since that Tuesday, again, think back to when Caitlin Clark was in college, and now she's approaching her 3rd year in the WNBA. And think about how long every single Tuesday since then. That's how long we've been doing this. So it's crazy to think about how long I've been at it and just the amount of growth and the amount of top 5s we've had and lists and all that kind of stuff. So it's about consistency. And when you stay consistent with your morals, when you stay consistent with what you're about, these kinds of things happen. You're able to produce a system where the system works harder for you. So listen to what I have to say today, so you have a clear understanding of the way you should be thinking as investment opportunities start rolling in, as people start presenting certain things. Look, everything isn't for everybody. Nobody out there has something that's just for everybody. But again, if you have a listening ear, you're going to be able to hear the things that are for you and the things that are not for you. And you don't walk around with a set of bitterness when it comes to how you operate. All right. So all that being said, let's jump right into the article today. Let's jump right into the article today. Top 5 Tuesday, best ways to decide what your best investments really are. Yes. You see me there with the First Serve shirt. You know, it was First Serve has been an incredible organization for me over this past year. It's been a huge opportunity for me to connect with a great group of people. I'm back working with high school kids. It's been amazing to say the least. But that wasn't the reason I chose this picture to to headline this article with. The reason I chose it is because of that sunrise in the background. Like, I mean, this was Sunday's recap episode 2 days ago. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. So this was Sunday's recap episode, and I just happened to catch the sunrise right there as I finished my run. Cars are coming. It's smiling. It's a new year. It's like right after a quick run. It was only a 4-mile run. If I'm not, no, I did a 6-mile run that Sunday, and it's like, ooh, you just had to catch it. The backdrop on that was absolutely amazing. So I had to use it. I had to use it for today's article. All right. So here we go. If you read yesterday's Make Your Move Monday, you know this week's theme isn't about hype, investments, quick wins, or chasing whatever is trending online. All right. It's about making decisions that hold up over time. Yesterday's article, I walked you through my perspective on how investing changed for me, from chasing images, ideas, and shortcuts to focusing on development, protection, and sustainability, especially after being approved for an IUL, and reflecting on how far I came over the last decade. Today, we move on to the story. We move on from story to structure. All right. So there's a structure to this. And I'm not sitting here telling you an IUL for every single person who knows what your situation is. In fact, I learned myself this past week to never be that licensed professional that's going to just sit there and tell somebody what they need to be invested in, who they need to be invested in, without actually getting to know them. Again, if you want more information on that, book the call as1c.com. But I will tell you, there's a certain structure in place, a certain mindset that you have to make so you can put yourself in a better situation. All right. So there we go. Strongly encourage you to write this down. Write these 5 points down. Not screenshot it, not save it for later. Write it, because the list can serve as a blueprint. All right. Just like when I wrote Swiftly, and I have 365 days written, so you can start documenting what you do every day and then look back on it a year from now and say, okay, this is how I get better. Today's going to be a similar thing, to where there's a blueprint to how you need to be thinking when investment opportunities start coming to you. All right. So, and it'll help you stay aligned with your finances in a way that supports your long-term goals, not just the short-term excitement, right? Not just I'm going to Live nightclub and turning up. I'm going to Disney World, turning up. I'm going to wherever. I'm going to the club tonight. No, it's a way of thinking. It's like one of my favorite things. I love the scene from Baby Boy. I believe it was was it Ving Rhames? Not Ving. Was it Ving Rhames? You know, with Tyrese, where he said there's guns and there's bullets. See, the folks with the guns, they put their money in stocks and investments, stuff that appreciates. He said it like that. Stuff that appreciates with value. All right. The folks with butter, they spend their money on clothes and shoes and jewelry, a bunch of bullshit that means nothing after you buy it. A bunch of depreciation, right? Depreciation. Again, thinking about my ex, that's one of the things I kind of make those jokes about, because I'd be in her house and I'd see little things on the walls. They call that depreciation. That's what the people who sell houses and the folks who are actually realtors and those kinds of folks, they see little holes on the wall, see artwork. It's depreciation. They call it depreciation, and they start taking money off what the house is worth. Tell you what it means in his language, called depreciation. I got that line from one of my favorite movies, The Breakup, with Vince Vaughn and Ted. What's that girl's name? Vince Vaughn and is it Jameson? Hold up, I gotta look this up. It's real quick. Give me a second, guys. The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. Yeah, Jennifer Aniston. So that movie, The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn, when they were, going through there, whatever, and his wife, the girl was an artist, and she was talking about, getting the house, and he goes, I'll tell you what it means in his language. It's called depreciation. It's called depreciation. Oh man, I love that movie. I gotta watch that movie at some point. I gotta rewatch that. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so the 5 best ways to decide what your best investments really are. All right. First and foremost, what are the long-term benefits? First of all, that is the first question you need to be asking yourself. What are the long-term benefits? All right. And this is how life works. All right. This is how life works. So when I got approved for those of you unfamiliar with an IUL, stands for what an IUL stands for Index Universal Life Insurance. Right, it allows policyholders to build cash value, provided death benefit, access investment-linked growth options. So if you want a simple breakdown, I'm going to play the clip for you in a second, but if you want a simple breakdown, I strongly recommend this short clip where at Policy Agent Lump explains it clearly. This is the type of thinking I mean. This is the type of thinking I mean when I say long-term benefits, and this is the mindset that applies far beyond insurance. Something as small as what you eat every night is an investment. Growing up, this is what my mother taught me, and this is why it's so important to put your kids and put your family and make sure you have a plan for your kids as you go about making kids, because this is what my mother did, right? Growing up, when I went to the grocery store with my mother, everything, we'd go aisle by aisle. She'd look every single day, every single time. She'd just look through it and see what was on sale. She only bought the items that were on sale. So afterwards, she'd show my sister and I the receipt, not to brag, but she would literally show us the numbers on how much money she saved. So that was the lesson. So me having that mindset, me having that thinking, when I got approved and became an agent myself, I started doing my research because I myself am still in training. I still need to learn from not only the group I'm with, but also the other people that may know a little bit more than me. And I happened to meet a guy named Anthony Lumpkin. Shout out to Anthony Lumpkin, who reached out to me yesterday, and he agreed to be on the show. He will be on the podcast at some point. So when I looked up just IUL in general, I'm going to play the clip in a second. But when I looked up IUL, and I'm going to link it back to I always like to give credit to the content creator, but he will be on the show. He did say he'll be on the show at some point. When I looked him up and he reached out, it turned out that he's a former football player like me, kind of fell into the finance game, because when you play the game, you realize the kind of risk you're putting your body in, realize the kind of risk you're putting your family in, and you just have the mindset of, hey, look, if I'm going to go out and do something, I got to actually be protected and be ready. So let me play this clip, and then we'll move on to 2 through 5.
One I like to do is called IUL. That stands for Index Universal Life Policy. Okay, right? It has 3 components. First component, it has an investment tool tied into it. But what that investment does is it allows you to invest your money. That $100 being invested into the market at a 6 or 12% compound interest on an annual basis. So it has a floor, right? So that means your money is locked in. So if the market would have tanked, guess what? My money stays there. I have $100,000 in mine as well, but I have an IUL. Market go down to 5%. Who's losing money? My money stays at $100,000. But that's why I basically like to suggest the IUL as the first component. Second component is still life insurance. You know, there's an investment into the market. The IUL is still a life insurance. So that $100,000 is somewhere if he were to pass away, his kids will get the $100,000 within 48 or 72 hours of his life. Third component, it has living benefits. Y'all heard of that, right? So basically, if you have a terminal, chronic, or critical illness, you can borrow the month, right? I'm gonna give y'all a real live example of what happened to one of my friends. 4 months ago, husband and wife passed away. I'm sorry, not passed away, had an car accident, very bad car accident. They were out 3 months in the hospital. They couldn't talk, they couldn't eat, they couldn't do anything. She called me, hey, Anthony, the life insurance policy that we got, how can we use it? Said, send me the paperwork from the doctors, like stating what you have, what your conditions are. Sent it into the carrier, which was Mutual Omaha, saying, well, one to come to. And then at that point, it took 4 days, and they got approved for up to 80% of the $200,000. So they were able to tap into, since they had a $200,000 policy, $180,000. So they tapped in and got $40,000 each, but they had $80,000, right? So at that point, they paid their mortgage down because at the moment, they were about to get kicked out of their house. So they weren't They weren't working. They weren't making no payments, anything like that. So they paid it down. And at that point, she was very happy and said, you know what? I thank you. You are safe. You saved us. You helped us out. So in that sense, I helped the family out. And that does more to me than anything. Helping the family out just like that. So those essentially are the 3 components of having an IUL. But the bad part about it, guess what? It has 3 components, 3 things that you need to be make sure that your health is good, right? That's one thing. You can't be unhealthy and get these companies look at these policies. You guys ask for what? You're not going to be driving around and having DUI. You can't have a felony. We're not going to include it. Those are the things that we need to be aware of. They don't want to be reckless. They don't want to just have insurance for anybody that's going to be reckless. So in that sense, those are the 3 components, and that's why I highly suggest that you are safe. The one I like to do is called IUL.
All right, so that That was, and again, he has agreed to come on the show at some point. So I look forward to doing a deeper dive with him on that because, like I said, I'm still very, very new in the financial game. I know teamwork, I know employee development very well, and that's where my expertise is. But in terms of adding to my skill set, I decided to make the move and jump into the finance industry so I can better serve the people that I want to serve. And that's what he's talking about in terms of, hey, are you helping families and are you helping people out? This is what I mean when your long-term decisions, your long-term thinking, what are your plans? If you don't have a plan, folks, again, you are getting worse every single day. I said it yesterday. There's no getting better. There's no staying the same. It's either you're going to decide to get better or you're going to get worse every day. It's going to happen. That's the way leveling up works, and that's just the way the world works. All right. So number two, and he just sort of alluded to it a little bit, is how are my loved ones protected? This one is big because this type of thinking takes an entrepreneurial vision where you have to understand the people that, and this is again something I telling you from my experience, something that I just lived through with my ex who had 2 kids. So where I was living in a way that was just crazy to the point where somebody who has this stability mindset, you have to. The reason it didn't work out, and I'll end it like this, and I won't keep bringing it up, is because there's a stability mindset that she had versus an entrepreneurial mindset that Aswan has, and it just goes in separate directions. It does not connect. It will not connect. It's like 2 parallel lines trying to at some point go together. It's never going to connect because of the way this person thinks and the way this person has to think versus the way Aswan gets to think. All right. So loved ones being protected is a very, very big one because so many times as entrepreneurs, so many times as folks who have this high risk, high reward type of mentality, when we can see our vision, we don't really think about shit, man. The people who love us are not going to be able to survive. Their mental won't be able to take the kind of way we live. All right. So as you're going about investment opportunities, you have got to make sure your loved ones are protected. Now it becomes the bigger question: who exactly are your loved ones, and why do you love this person, and what exactly are the things you do? Like when I sat down and really went through my finances, but I really, in my heart of heart, wanted to make sure I'm always having money aside for an engagement ring because of, hey, I know for a fact being, the marriage is where you're able to plan things and you're able to raise a family with a 2-parent household, and you're not going out just trying to create stuff on your own, because I guarantee, I don't care what the investment opportunity is, you're not going to just get there alone. Even if you do get there financially, there's nothing to give back to. There's nothing to share. There's nothing to fill up your cup as you're going about doing things. So this one was personal. So part of being approved for my IUL, and again, I got to tell the story because it was I actually had to call my mother yesterday and truly, truly thank her for what she did, because part of being approved for my IUL required a deep look into my health history. During this process, I had to disclose that, like you just said, remember your health, you got to be healthy, that my father had been diagnosed with a kidney disease. So that history mattered. So thankfully, after my father's diagnosis, this was back when I was in middle school, like well over 20 years ago, my mother made sure my sister and I were thoroughly checked. When the application required documentation, all I had to do was provide my doctor's information, who's not even in business anymore. That's what's crazy about it. The doctor that checked me out, he's not even in business anymore. The records were already there. That didn't happen by accident. Protection is rarely visible until it's needed. So when evaluating an investment, ask yourself, if something goes wrong, who is covered? All right. So how your loved one's protected. And number 3, like you heard, how am I protected? All right. And then again, I say this to you guys with sincerity. This one is not easy for us as entrepreneurs. We lie to ourselves all the time. We believe we can do whatever the fuck it is we want and just do it. And because we're going to power our way through it. That's the way we think. That's the way we operate. All right. And it gets us in trouble, right? It gets a lot of us in trouble. So this one requires a level of honesty. All right. You do not know what you do not know. This is why, again, I go out and I look for people like an Anthony Lopez. I look for people like a Dre Baldwin and Anton Daniels. The one I'm working with now, I don't have permission to share his name, but people that can coach me up, get me better, so I'm able to say, hey, what am I not seeing? What am I doing wrong? Where is it that I'm making my mistakes? There's always something you could be doing better, all right? You don't know what you don't know, which is why this step was the most, it requires coaching. Yes, there are snakes. Yes, hear me. There are fucking snakes out there. There's snakes in the grass. There are people out there who are absolute snakes in the grass, bullshit people that will fuck you over. And excuse my language on this one because I'm working on my custom, but this one's necessary. There are people out there who will fuck you over and not give two shits about it. They won't piss on you if your ass is on fire. They don't give a shit how bad things get as long as their ass is safe. And I've seen it in multiple industries. Multiple industries, there are people out there who will give you a middle finger and not give a shit about where you end up, where you're sleeping, how much. None of that shit, as long as their ass is good. There's people out there who do that. They really do. All right, they really do. I told you I've been burnt by a lot of motherfuckers, and that's one of them. All right. So there are snakes out there. I get it. But we are also living in a time that unlimited access to information. Virtual mentors exist in every space. I just showed you someone that could be, right? Figure out what you want to pursue, look it up, study the people who are already doing it the right way. The knowledge to protect yourself is available, but you have to take responsibility for finding it. Protection doesn't come from luck, it comes from education. Educate yourself, all right? So that's number 3. Let me get number 4. Sorry. You think I know what I'm doing now in terms of the... Okay, so let me switch that up here. Yep. All right, I got you. So number 4, is it legal and ethical? All right, this is big. This is big because this one's going in your own heart. So question always follows number 3. So are you protected? But is it legal and is it ethical? I'm just telling you, it's illegal and ethical. Legally is usually a clear. All right, legal and ethical is kind of a different definition, right? Legal, it's very clear. You see a red light, you stop. You see double yellow lines on the crossing roads, you just don't on the road, you don't cross over because you see another car coming. That's legal. These are legal things. Ethical, now it's internal. Ethics are tied to how much respect your goals are. If your passion is real, you won't disrespect it by cutting corners or doing something that even sounds wrong. The stronger your purpose, the higher your standards. All right. If you justify it, if you have to justify it, pause. And I always think of like one of my favorite movies is Wolf of Wall Street. And I always think of that movie. That scene where it's star Leonardo DiCaprio and he's portraying Jordan Belfort. He has a great book too, Jordan Belfort, Straight Line Selling. I actually read that book a couple of years ago. But when Leonardo DiCaprio talked about when he was playing him in Wolf of Wall Street, there was actually a scene in which Leonardo DiCaprio looked at the camera and he goes, I know what you guys are thinking. Is any of this shit legal? And he goes, no, it's not. So again, you don't want to be that person that's doing things that are legal and unethical because eventually, as you saw where it landed, Jordan Belfort landed him in jail. Whole company got shut down. IRS people coming in, all sorts of tax evasion, all sorts of things that went wrong in that. So you want to make sure it's legal and ethical. All right. And finally, the big one. This is the big one here. Will this investment develop me in a desirable way? All right. Will it? Hold on. Let me take that off. Will it? Jesus, this thing is getting annoying. All right. Will it develop me in a desirable way? Desirable. You get to be the one to define exactly what desirable is in your own life. Desirable is up to you. You get to define what's desirable. What exactly do you desire? What do you wake up every morning thinking? What exactly do you want? How exactly much does it burn you? What exactly is it? The first thing that you wake up and you think about, the last thing that you go to bed, when you rest your head on your pillow, you're like, I want this so bad, right? What is actually desirable to you? And are you developing? Is the investment developing you in that way? That is up to you, all right? But as you do, remember everything already mentioned, your loved ones, your protection, a profession or mission you care deeply about, developing in a desirable way means becoming the kind of person who can support, protect, and lead. Hear me again, for the people all the way in the back, all the way in the back row. Support, protect, lead. Those are the things you need to be concerned, all right? And all of those areas at once. Growth isn't about money. It's about who you're becoming while you pursue it. It's not about the money. It's about who exactly you're becoming when you pursue it, all right? Final word. Best investments don't grow accounts. They grow capacity, discipline, and clarity. If a decision strengthens you and protects you and people connected to you, you're likely on the right path. If you want help applying this framework, again, go to as1c.com. Let me put it up on the screen here. Go to as1c.com and we will definitely set up a call. We'll set up a call, set up a meeting in which we can get really deep in terms of what your finance, not particular, not too much details about your problem, if whatever you're willing to share, but we're going to figure out exactly what your desirable goals are and how exactly you're going to get there, but we're going to do it in the right way so you have a plan moving forward and you're not just winging it. All right. So all that being said, again, main website is here, as1c.com. And then also, if you want more, if you need more information on who As One is, that is available on makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. It is your one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As One Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.